Welcome to the Interchange. I'm Latife Hayson. For the past 25 years, I was living in Napa Valley, California, consulting and representing buyers and sellers of wineries, vineyards, and luxury estates. My clients were the founders of publicly listed companies, tech giants, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists, all living their best lives and many changing up the world before our eyes. On the Interchange, I take a deep dive into their personal stories and many other fascinating people I have met from around the world.
If we all suddenly are in driverless electric networked cars, maybe it can all be coordinated such that we don't have as much traffic.
We talk cutting-edge technology, financial intelligence, leadership, climate change, the power of philanthropy, passion, and much more. But that's not all. As a patron of the world-renowned Festival Napa Valley, I chat with internationally renowned artists and emerging talent who grace the festival stage during the 10 best days of summer each year. It's like being in Europe and going out to a performance every day and every night in the most beautiful settings and incredible food and wine. You really do feel like you're in Europe. So tune in for each episode because the Interchange is where inspiration meets innovation. Hello everybody, Dr. Kathleen Martinez is a Dominican archaeologist and diplomat who has captured the world's attention with her relentless pursuit of one of history's greatest mysteries, the tomb of Cleopatra. Since 2005, Dr. Martinez has led the Dominican mission at Taposiris Magna in Egypt, uncovering fascinating artifacts and shedding light on this ancient temple complex. She's not only a determined archaeologist, but also a lawyer by training, bringing a unique perspective to her groundbreaking work. Today, Dr. Martinez will share her extraordinary and captivating journey with us. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thank you, Latife. It's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. It is certainly my honor. I really appreciate it. I know you have a very busy schedule, so thank you. I've known you on and off and just met you many times hanging out at the festival for years, but I had no idea of the work you were doing. And I love your story and the passion behind your groundbreaking work in Egypt. So you really are an incredibly accomplished and one of the most inspiring people I've ever had the pleasure to spend time with. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought we'd start out by delving into your childhood, which I thought clearly set the path for curiosity for you as a young child. Would you like to talk about your parents, your upbringing, your schooling?
I was born and grew up in the Dominican Republic. I was lucky to have a father who was an intellectual, a lawyer, and also had the biggest private library in the Dominican Republic. And he used to bring books for me weekly and gave me those books. And after 1 week, I have to discuss what I learned from those books with him. And I think have this opportunity put wings into my mind, but he never expected that those wings were beyond the limits of the Dominican Republic.
Well, yeah, and you're an only child, right?
Yes.
So how did he feel when you left?
Well, my family expected for me to continue with the law firm in the Dominican Republic. I practiced law for 19 years in the Dominican Republic. And that's what they were expecting me to do. Yeah. Even when I was a kid and I said to my parents that I wanted to be an archaeologist and one day I will go to Egypt and make great discoveries, they laughed. And then when I was growing up, they told me, you're not going to be an archaeologist. That's not a real career. You will never going to have the chance to work in Egypt. And certainly you're not going to make any discoveries. So I am not going to pay for such a crazy idea to go. If you go to college, you will choose a formal career. That's why I choose law.
So how old were you when you thought you wanted to become an archaeologist? And was it always Cleopatra that you wanted to?
No, at that time, when I was 4 or 5 years old, no, I was not thinking of Cleopatra, but I felt a fascination about Egypt, always.
Yeah, see, my take on you also is that you were a gifted academic. You came down the birth canal like that. I kind of think the next show should be delving into your past lives, because at 4 years old, wanting to be an archaeologist, and look where you are today. You've got degrees in law, finance, and archaeology, and you graduated at 18 from law, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love, there's a great story. So you were graduated at 18, you were immediately hired by the most prominent criminal attorney, I think. And there's a great story behind why he hired you straight out of college, right? As soon as you graduated.
I wasn't graduated when he saw me in court.
You weren't graduated?
No, I wasn't.
And you were 18?
Yes, I was in a pro bono case that we had to go through in order to
get your degree.
Get the degree, and he saw me fighting in a very important case.
Yeah.
And then he called me when I went down, and he said he started asking me questions, and he hired me immediately.
But wasn't there a story that no other attorney actually wanted to take the case?
Yes, it was a very big case, very complicated case. Even if I think today I might not have taken it. I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
It was a political case, the assassination of a banker in the Dominican Republic.
An assassination of a banker, and nobody else wanted the case?
No, because every time there was a hearing, we received threats that a bomb was placed there and that they were all going to get killed. So nobody wanted to take that case. It was an important case that implicates the government at that time. So it was very difficult.
But you were a student.
I was a student.
And they gave it to you. And what did your father think about that? Was he worried about you?
He was very worried. He begged me not to take that case. I said, okay, but when you're young, sometimes you...
Fearless.
Yes, you're fearless. And I took it. I won it.
You won it.
And that made me, as a well-known, very young.
18 years old. It's a great, great story. I love that. I love that. And you won the case. Oh.
I was seeking justice for 5 innocent men that were accused of a crime that they not committed. So I thought I had to.
Incredible. So then you became a defense attorney, right? A criminal attorney.
Yes.
And was your dad a criminal attorney?
No, he's a civil and commercial attorney.
They must have been just like so proud of you, so proud of you. So, but then you practiced for 19 years.
Yes.
Was that in your family business?
Yes.
You practiced, and then, so when did you decide, I'm just going to go and follow my dreams?
I practiced law for all those years, but when after graduation and after my mentor, Hector Sanchez Marcelo, this famous attorney, criminal lawyer, died, I went to Spain to do a master's in law. And this is the time when I re-encounter again with archaeology. I went to do a master's in law, but then I saw archaeology from the perspective of a developed country, because the Dominican Republic is a third world country, and those that kind of career are not appreciated. But then I went to Spain, and they had another different concept of what archaeology was. And then I started my first classes on archaeology in Spain at that time. And then I dedicated all the possible time that I could have to go to libraries and try to read about Cleopatra and Egypt. And this is how all these projects started. I had I welcomed my 2 kids that were born in Spain.
Oh.
So I did 2 masters. I had 2 kids. I studied my first steps in archaeology. And then I went back to the Dominican Republic to continue with my law firm.
And how long did you last back there?
I last only 4 years. And around 2004, I was in one of the most important moments for my career as a lawyer.
Oh.
I was doing great. I was, let's say I already had 5 lawyers working for me. I have a partner. And then suddenly I said, but I am unhappy.
Wow.
I need to go to Egypt. I've been studying about the possible location of the tomb of Queen Cleopatra for years, and I want to see if all of that ideas that I have make sense in Egypt. So I decided to travel in 2004 for the first time to Egypt to study this location. Taposiris Magna was an ancient temple abandoned at the time in the northern coast of Egypt. And the idea was that I could do my first studying of the area, and then later, when my kids grow up, that I will come back to pursue my dream as an archaeologist. But then when I arrived to Egypt and I visit Taposiris Magna, they told me that it was the last time that excavation could have taken place, because there was a project to change this archaeological site to become a touristic site, and nobody will ever going to be able to excavate.
Oh, they were about to turn it into a tourist site.
Exactly.
But how did you, okay, let's back up a little bit, because firstly, you mapped out, I think before you went there, where you thought her tomb was, right?
Yes.
Do you think part of your defense attorney, the way you think as an attorney, helped you think differently? Because where you thought you still believe her tomb is nowhere near where anybody else has been, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So how did you figure that out, that particular location? In your mind, you mapped it. What was it that helped you have the belief that to go against the odds of what everybody had done for thousands of years and to look for her tomb over here? Tell me that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I use my lawyer way of reasoning. I don't know any other lawyer that has turned into archaeology.
I don't think so.
And maybe that's one of the way that I came with a complete revolutionary theory.
Yes.
Cleopatra has the most, there was 2 accepted theories of the possible location of the tomb of Cleopatra. One is the royal quarters in Alexandria, where Cleopatra's palace was, and today is underwater. And the other possible location is the temple of Philae in Aswan, because it was the most important religious center dedicated to goddess Isis, which Cleopatra was considered at that time the human representation of goddess Isis. And Plutarch, the famous historian, the only clue that he gave about the tomb of Queen Cleopatra is that she was buried in the temple of Isis. But there were many. Yeah. So there were more than 20 temples dedicated to Isis all over Egypt. Isis was the most important figure in the ancient religions. She represents love, she represents maternity, she represents femininity. So she was that god that extends even beyond Egypt, all over Rome, Greece, There's no other goddess in Egypt that has been so popular than Goddess Isis. And she also was a magician.
Oh, interesting.
And Cleopatra was her reincarnation, or the daughter of Goddess Isis. So if we know that she had the opportunity to choose the location where Mark Antony would be buried and herself, she would, instead of finding any other location or temple, she would go to Goddess Isis. And this is what Plutarch says. But when I came out with my theory, I said, okay, she would never choose to be buried in the royal quarters because the Romans were already in control of the royal quarters, and they wanted to take her to Rome, dead or alive. And they would never allowed her to rest in peace with her husband, Mark Antony.
Right.
She would never had the opportunity to hide from the Romans. She didn't want to be disgraced and taken to Rome and be paraded in Rome by Octavius. So she would never choose the royal quarters. And the other location in Philae, it's impossible because we know that she visited twice this location, 2 weeks before she committed suicide and the day before she committed suicide. And she could not travel 1,000 kilometers at that time in the same day.
Right.
So nobody thought of that. And I say she was looking for the Temple of Isis, but not that one. It had to be one near Alexandria.
Right.
And I will find it. So I prepared a map of ancient Alexandria, and I located all those temples dedicated to Isis. And in 2004, I went to Egypt to visit those places. The interesting thing about Taposiris Magna is located 46 kilometers from Alexandria, from the royal quarters. And nobody knew to whom it was dedicated. It was the only ancient temple in Egypt that was not a clue to whom it was dedicated or who built it or if the temple ever functioned as a temple. So it was for me, like as a lawyer, also like a red light. Why? If they have a list of all those temples, and we know even they don't exist today or they are underwater, the priest in ancient Egypt has a list of all those temples, and we know who built it, to whom it were dedicated. And this is the only one which is close to Alexandria that could be dedicated to Goddess Isis. If I excavate this temple and I found the foundation plaques, I will prove my theory that this could be the final resting place. If I can prove or find archaeological evidence that demonstrate the temple was dedicated to Isis and was built during the time of the Greek pharaohs, the Ptolemies, which started with Alexander the Great and ended with Cleopatra. So for 200 years, the most famous Egyptologists, Italian, French, Americans, Hungarians, Germans, Egyptians were searching for those foundation plaques. Foundation plaques is like a size of a cell phone today. And it's hide in any location inside the temple, beneath big blocks. So it's very rare to find, and it's the most important artifact that an archaeologist could find. And it's priceless. So for 200 years, they were searching for the foundation plaques. Nobody found it. And it gave the impression to all those experts that because they did not find the foundation plaques, that didn't exist, and the temple was an unfinished temple. I came with another theory. I said, this temple functioned almost during all the reign of the Ptolemies, the Greek pharaohs. The foundation plate should be located inside the remains of the temple. And the temple had to be dedicated to goddess Isis. And the destruction of this temple could be for several reasons, including the Romans searching for the tomb of the queen. And I present a theory to the Egyptian government to search for the foundation plates in this temple, to search for tunnels, passages underground, and everybody laughed. They told me, you will never find a tunnel here. I told them, well, you haven't found it yet. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I will search for those tunnels, and I think I will find them. I will discover a necropolis, a cemetery that I believe exists in this location, and I will link this temple to the Ptolemies and Queen Cleopatra.
Oh, gives me goosebumps.
After only 3 months of excavation, I discovered the foundation plates.
Oh my Lord, 3 months.
Only 3 months. They've been searching for these foundation plates for 200 years.
Yeah.
And the foundation plate says that the temple was built in 200 BC, around 205 or 200 BC, and was dedicated to goddess Isis. And then if we consider the temple was built around 200 BC and functioned until at least 200 or 300 after Christ. So this temple functioned for 500 years. Why? Yeah. Why? There's no historical record. And then the temple was dedicated to goddess Isis. And then we discovered also tunnels and passages underground more than 3 kilometers.
Oh, I remember you telling me that. Now, how long did it take you to get to that level, to realize that?
Oh, that took me 10 years.
10 years.
To discover, I discovered the the tunnels 1 year after I started the project. Very early, but then it was completely refilled with big blocks. A lot of snakes and scorpions inside, cobras and aspid, the same that killed Queen Cleopatra. And it's difficult to work 25 meters underground. And then we were able to clean and excavate around 30 to 40 meters per season. And then we have 3 kilometers.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's an undertaking.
Yes, it's a huge
undertaking.
Yes.
How did you get the government to stop their plans for tourism and listen to somebody who hadn't been an archaeologist? I mean, you're convincing. I'm incredible. How did you do that?
Yes, I was able to present the project. And it's
well researched.
It's more than 200 pages of this project and the things that I thought we could find in this location. And they gave me only 2 months. This is the first license that has ever been granted to Latin America. Was mine, because usually they are more than 100. Applications per year, 1,000 applications per year, and they only grant 80 license. And you compete with the most famous universities and professors in the world.
Yeah.
That's why Latin America didn't have the chance before. I was granted the first license to anyone from Latin America. But then they didn't give me the whole year that they gave to other projects. They only gave me 2 months.
2 months. And well, obviously you were incredibly well researched, beautifully presented, convincingly so, I have to say. And so what happened after 2 months? I mean, you hadn't found anything at 2 months, or had you?
I had to find evidence of those 4 tasks that I told you. Either they were chambers underground, they were tunnels, the foundation plates, and necropolis. And for 8 weeks, I wasn't able to discover anything.
No.
And the last week, they already started making fun of me, and everybody of my team were already disappointed. Nobody was expecting to find anything. And even the last day, they told me, "Why are you going to work? This is finished. We're not going to find anything." So the last day, even my own team of archaeologists decided not to work. They were sitting all together, having coffee and tea. And they left me alone. And 2 hours before the end of my permit, I divided the team of workers in 3. This is the last days of hope, because I was running out of time. And 1 hour before the end, we discovered the first chamber that changed the architecture of Egyptian temples forever. It was in the last hour. I said, I'm not giving up until the time is finished, because if I don't find it, it's because I didn't have enough time. But I did it the last hour.
Oh my God, Kathleen, you're a guardian angel looking over you. I love it. We'll go into your past life another time.
Another time.
Isn't that incredible? So then what happened? So then they granted you more time?
They immediately, the inspectors, the Egyptian inspectors, called to the, at that moment, the Ministry of Antiquities to tell them, well, she made it. We have this, we're opening a shaft, which is leading to a chamber. And next day, it was already 2 in the afternoon, almost. Next day, all the military and civilian authorities of Alexandria came. It was a huge discovery. And I extended. I said, I cannot leave now because I need to continue the excavation to see what is inside the chamber. And we need to continue. So they extend for 2 more months.
2 months.
And then immediately, 1 week later, we discover the remains of the Temple of Isis. We discovered a huge treasure of 500 coins. And then from there, we have more than 2,000 objects already discovered. We have a huge collection of coins portraying Queen Cleopatra, Mark Antony, and Alexander the Great, the Ptolemies. We discovered the necropolis, the cemetery. We have 21 catacombs, more than 1,000 human remains and mummies. We have discovered this tunnel, which is leading us to the Mediterranean Sea.
Unbelievable. Remains of 1,000 people.
Yes. Almost all of them from the time of Queen Cleopatra, which is also very important. Among those that has been discovered at Taposiris Magna, we have the tomb of a general, which has a Medal of Honor. We have one tomb that I like very much of a woman, probably a priestess, and she had a mummified ibis, the secret bird in ancient Egypt. That means that she was a clairvoyant, she can see the future. So we know now who are those people that were close to Queen Cleopatra. Military, priestess.
Incredible, unbelievable. So it's very much, I think it's very much, it has been a male-dominated field, archaeology. Has it been? What has it been like for you as a woman to be on such a high-profile excavation?
It at the beginning was really difficult. It's a completely different culture. And it was difficult when I gave an instruction to work in this area to workers. Because I was a woman, they work in the opposite place.
On purpose?
On purpose. So it took me a while to get some leadership in order for them to follow me. So now it's easy because they know me very well.
Yeah.
They has been very proud of all of these discoveries.
Oh,
Everybody's amazed in a location where nobody imagined they could find all of this, that we have all these
they're
great
part of
discoveries.
history, aren't they? They're part of history for helping you do the work to find these artifacts.
And now this ancient temple that was abandoned is one of the most important sites that Egypt have today. It has a lot of publicity, and many tourists are requesting to visit Taposiris Magna.
And can you, as a tourist, or is it blocked off now because of all of your work? And do the government give you the help that you need? They provide the excavators, or do you just have your own team?
This is, since the beginning, it has been a Dominican Egyptian team. I'm working with Egyptians since the beginning, because we didn't have in the Dominican Republic a team that could accompany me.
Right.
So I was leading an excavation, and I was the only one, and I still are, from the Dominican Republic. So I partnered with Egypt. And I've been working with Egyptian archaeologists for many years, and lately with European archaeologists too, but it's a Dominican Egyptian project.
And what does that mean, that it's a Dominican Egyptian project? Does that mean that when you've finished excavating and you've reached your goal and you found the tomb, what does that mean?
Well, the project has the nationality of the leader of the team.
I see.
The project has the Dominican flag because I am the head of the mission. Okay. But I'm working with Egyptians. And all the artifacts that I have discovered will always have the flag of the Dominican Republic when it's toured in the museum. And this is the first time, not only for the Dominican Republic, but for Latin America. And I feel very happy to open the door for Latin America. Now, I am, one of the goals that I have now is to open an institute of archaeology, giving the opportunity to Latin America to be trained in this site. And this archaeological site became the only one in Egypt which has excavations on land and underwater, because the tunnel that we discovered in 2007 and been excavating for many years led me beneath a modern highway, beneath a modern resort in the northern coast of Egypt, into the Mediterranean Sea. One of the incredible things is that when I try to explore if the tunnels continue underwater, I find out that all that area was a military zone. I had never go inside the water because I didn't know it was connected to the temple. And then I realized, I started searching for more than 1 year all the information of ancient maps of Alexandria and Egypt, trying to see if there were changes in the coast, because it makes sense that if Alexandria city collapsed with earthquakes and tsunamis, this is when the palace of Queen Cleopatra sunk underwater, when the Library of Alexandria was destroyed and it's underwater today. The lighthouse, the famous lighthouse of Alexandria, also collapsed. And if an earthquake of that magnitude hit Egypt in the 3rd century, 45 kilometers west of Alexandria could have been impacted too. But it was not historical records. We have historical records of Alexandria and other cities in the northern coast, but not to Taposiris Magna. So we already make a discovery that the earthquake impacted and also destroyed part of that area. And then when I requested permit to excavate and explore the underwater in front of Taposiris Magna, I realized it was a military zone. It took me another year to have a meeting with the Egyptian army and present my project. I came with all my papers, all my maps, all my research for years, and I told them, I need you to open this military zone for me.
And they said?
Oh, they said, I will send we need to send a commission. In the Dominican Republic, when they say they will send a commission, that means that will never happen.
Right.
Because the commission will never get together.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe this is the end of my search. Next day, a general with a team came to study what I explained to them, to go inside the tunnels with me, and they were impressed. They told me they will present all of this information to President of Egypt. And I thought, I have no chance. I'm a foreigner, and probably I will never get this opportunity. And but I continue my excavations on land. Incredible, 1 month later, they told me that they presented this to the Egyptian president, El-Sisi, and he said, if this woman was capable to achieve all of this, she deserved to continue exploring underwater. And they opened for the first time this area to me. What was incredible is because it was a military zone, nobody ever dive or any boat could go into that area. So I was the first time ever who had the opportunity to dive in that area. For that project, I contact Dr. Robert Ballard.
Yes, I read that.
So if you want to be part of this project.
And he explained who he is. He discovered the Titanic.
Yes.
Right. Discovered the Titanic. Yeah.
And many other ships and the Bismarck. He's the most renowned oceanographist in the world.
Wow.
And everybody told me he will not even, probably he will not answer my email. I contact him through National Geographic. I'm an explorer from National Geographic, and he's an explorer at large.
Yeah.
And he replied the same day.
Oh, see, guardian angels.
And we talked, and he was really very excited about the project, and he came to help. Now I'm working with Americans in the search of Queen Cleopatra.
It's unbelievable. So you've been doing this for how many years now? 2004, 2005 you started.
I started in 2005.
So you're like 19 years.
Yes.
And do you have a sense of how far off you are? I guess it's hard to know, isn't it? You don't.
Well, this is a puzzle. I'm putting pieces together.
Yeah.
It's a 2,000-year-old puzzle.
Yeah.
And the discovery of this tunnel has changed everything.
Everything.
Because what I'm sure now is that I'm excavating maybe in an area which is 50 or 60% of what the temple was in ancient time, and the other part is underwater. And now what we did is that last year, with Dr. Robert Ballard and Dr. Larry Mayer from New Hampshire University, we tried to prepare a map, which is the most important thing. It's an open sea, and we need to prepare a map where we look for targets or things which could be of our interest to explore. And we already prepared that map. So this season, we're going to dive into those areas that are interested. So I think this year we're going to have clear vision of what is underwater. And I believe this part of the project is the final part. I think we are very close to whatever is in there.
What would you say is the most surprising or exciting artifact that you found?
We have discovered very important inscriptions that have changed history. This is not inscriptions. We discovered the foundation plaques.
The foundation, most important.
Which, without any doubt, confirm the temple was dedicated to Isis. Right. But then we discovered an stela written in hieroglyphic and demotic. Hieroglyphic was the language of the priest, and demotic was the language of the common people, that stated that Taposiris Magna was the most sacred temple all over Egypt. It was considered holy land, and also confirmed the importance for this temple to goddess Isis and worshipping her, but also what it meant for the Ptolemies, Cleopatra's family. And I was able to link this temple to the whole family. And then why those peoples wanted to be buried there is because they want to be buried in a holy land. And if it's so, why this location was completely forgotten and there was no information about it. So it's open. It's the information that we are getting through excavation is completely different of what we see today, because it shows the importance of this location. And this specific inscription actually is the update of the Rosetta Stone. So we have discovered, this is the most valuable piece that we have, is the update of the Rosetta Stone.
How incredible.
It was chiseled in several pieces and it was buried, but we found it and we are putting together all that information. We also have jewelry. We have a lot of important artifacts. We have beautiful busts, an image that could be the real image of Queen Cleopatra. We have many important busts. We have statues in granite, in basalt. We're putting together everything that was left in this temple for us to discover.
It's incredible. But there's also a museum in Cairo with your exhibition in there. I mean, how much is in the museum that you found?
We had several exhibitions in Egypt.
Yeah.
In Cairo Museum, we have 300 objects. Now we are opening an exhibition in September in Alexandria Library in Alexandria. And in the new museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum that will be open maybe at the end of this year or next year, we will have 100 of our objects in a permanent exhibition. Also, we had exhibitions all over the United States.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we had for several years, the life and death of Queen Cleopatra.
So they let you bring it out of the country?
National Geographic did.
Oh, National Geographic. And then they get returned. Everything has to stay there. Ultimately, yeah, everything has to stay. When your project's over, everything you've discovered must stay in Egypt, in museums?
Everything that I discovered belonged to Egypt, Egypt.
Yes.
But I can myself or anybody, if I agree, any organization like National Geographic or any museum can have exhibitions, temporary exhibitions,
and then take
with
them
my
back.
permit if I discover the pieces. And I also can request myself with any organization to take those pieces for exhibition wherever I want.
What an undertaking that would be. What will the discovery, when your goal is complete, what will this mean for you?
One of the goals that I had when I started this project was to become the lawyer for history for Queen Cleopatra, because she was one of those women who achieved so much, and then her image was destroyed only because of the misogyny. And I want to fight for justice for Queen Cleopatra, for women, because I think she opened up for us, all women, the world we know today.
Yes.
She was the first woman who studied formally at the University of Museion in Alexandria. She was a philosopher, she was a doctor in medicine, she was a musician, she studied chemistry, she was a mother of 4, she was a wife, she was a queen, she was a goddess. She was a very accomplished woman, and then her image was destroyed by the Romans as a result of a propaganda to destroy her and take out her throne in Egypt. So she deserved to be remembered as she really was.
Yes.
She was not the only philosopher which was destroyed by propaganda, but I think she needs to be remembered with all
positives. And how would you go about that? How would you go about that?
As much as I'm reading about Queen Cleopatra, I have this opportunity to find ancient Arab sources that describe Queen Cleopatra as
Who she really was, yeah.
Not as the Roman portrayed her. So I've been talking about all those ancient writers that are not known for us, but explain what kind of woman she was.
You're going to re-educate the world on what kind of a woman she was and not what everybody has heard that she was.
Exactly.
Yeah? Oh, I love that. That's great...
one of my goals. And the second is to discover the tomb with my own hands. I'm putting at least all the information that we already had discovered through systematic excavation has changed. All that has been known about that area, we are adding so much. And all this information is very important because none of the Greek pharaohs, starting from Alexander the Great until Cleopatra, 14 Greek pharaohs, has never been found, any of them. None of the Greek pharaohs has ever been found in the northern coast of Egypt. And I believe the reason is that they've been searching the wrong place.
I love it. It's great.
And I want to bring to light all this information concerning the Greco-Roman period in Egypt that has not been people even aware or not known. Most of the books that has been written before my excavation are no longer accurate. So all this information has been changed.
Has to all be rewritten.
It has been, yes, and has been written by the most famous universities and professors in the world. They were all wrong.
So now you're going to take on a whole other project to find the Greeks, the Greek pharaohs. Yeah, is that what your plan is?
First, I need to find out what is Taposiris Magna hiding.
Oh, interesting.
We don't know the magnitude of the discoveries that still we have there.
Yeah. There's certainly secrecy there, isn't there? Yeah.
Yes, in a location where they thought it was nothing to be found, we have discovered more than 2,000 artifacts.
Unbelievable.
Nobody has seen it, but the area has been excavated.
Right.
For very famous Egyptologists and archaeologists. So imagine what we can find underwater in a place that nobody has ever searched. So we will continue working on land, but also we will continue the exploration underwater. In the necropolis at the cemetery, we have uncovered 21 catacombs, which are tombs cut in the bedrock with stairs and then open in several chambers. And we have 21, and we could see that we at least have a projection that we could find another 30 catacombs. So we have a big project. It's a location that nobody thought it was important, and now we see that there was so much that was missed for centuries. So the whole project will take me
your lifetime.
Yes, and I'm very happy.
I think so. Yeah, I was going to say, if you could excavate anywhere in the world, anywhere you wanted, where would it be? Well, this is what it is. You're going to stay there.
I want to stay there.
Oh, wow.
I want to open an archaeological center. I will train young archaeologists. And it will happen like Troy has been excavated for more than 100 years, and they're still finding remainings. So maybe this area has so much still to be discovered.
Incredible. What about technology, archaeology technology? Has that advanced much during your career?
Yes, yes. We're using technology with Dr. Robert Ballard. We use technology. We use different kind of radar to prepare the map. And on land also, we're using different type of GPR with penetration, and different kind of technology, but because it's very close to the sea, the salt in the sand, it doesn't let the radar to show us goes very deep. So we on land has not been very successful. For example, we have a tunnel which we know has been already discovered and excavated 25 meters down. And when we pass by on the top of those tunnels, the radar to see if it captures the images, it can't.
Oh.
So if we know that the tunnel goes 25 meters and another area 35 meters, and we pass by on the surface, we make profiles with the radar, and it doesn't catch a voice that we already know exists. So we can miss.
You can miss,
others in another areas.
Are they working on a more advanced technology to assist in archaeology, in excavation?
They are working, but still they can't go as deep as we need in this case.
What do you think about the use of social media, or is it used in letting people know about archaeology and what's the latest finds?
That's very important, I think.
Is it?
It is important, social media, so people follow.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. Do you use it when you find artifacts? I
use it sometimes.
Sometimes, but mostly, how do people find out about your success as you progress? How do you do that? Is that through National Geographic or
it depends.
Documentaries?
It depends. Each season is different.
Yeah.
When I'm working with National Geographic, they do all the publicity, for example. They take care of that during the season we are working together. For example, last season, which was the first underwater exploration, and this season, we are working with National Geographic, and they are preparing this documentary that I think is going to be wonderful, because they got to film things that nobody has ever seen in 2,000 years. It's going to be amazing.
Now, when do you think they might release that?
At the beginning of next year.
Oh, they will, yeah.
And even in one of those that we were diving, in those shooting, a dolphin came to jump, and just shows up a dolphin.
I'm telling you, You know, I love it. You actually went to I think you sat on a panel in Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
Wasn't it, at the Festival of Thinkers event? And you said, you told the students that they should always follow their dreams and never take no for an answer.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate on your belief about this and how you navigate your dreams and aspirations with that determination?
When I was in Abu Dhabi, it was very interesting. One of the invitations that I appreciate the most, they chose me among the 50 brilliant minds of my time.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that.
And they invited me to Abu Dhabi with 9 Nobel Prizes to discuss different issues and
prize winners, 9 other Nobel Peace Prize winners.
Yes, and they were only 7 women.
Yeah,
among those 50 brilliant minds, and I had the opportunity to talk about leadership in women. That's what they asked me to discuss, and it will depend where you come from, even to choose your own dreams, because it's very different when you has been educated in a developed country or when you grow up and been educated in a third world country. Because in a third world countries, there are a lot of limitations of what you can do, especially if you're a woman. So actually, you can do nothing. And you're very restricted. It was for me, sometimes when I went to Egypt for the first time, one of the things when I visit, it took me, if I were born in Spain or in the United States, it wouldn't have been so difficult to become an archaeologist.
Right.
And then when you're from Latin America, there's so many restrictions they put on women in order to protect them, but they cut your wings usually, and it's very difficult to achieve your dreams. So most women in Latin America, they dream, but then they have to give up and do other things.
Yeah.
And for myself, I had those dreams since I was a kid. Yeah. I couldn't, at that time, go forward with my projects of becoming an archaeologist. And then I became a lawyer. It was not bad, but I never gave up the idea that one day I will go to Egypt. So I became a lawyer, then a diplomat, and I said, now I'm going to Egypt, and an archaeologist. And then I will go to Egypt, and I was able, because I never gave up. And what I say when I go to any conference I like to talk to children in the Dominican Republic. You cannot put your dream in the hand of anyone and to destroy your dreams.
Yes.
Because if you give up your dream, you will never be happy.
Yeah, I agree.
You will never. You can continue with your life, but then you suffer. You become unhappy. That happened to me. I was a successful lawyer, but then I said, I am not happy. This is not what I really want to do.
Yeah.
When you make the decision to follow your dream, mostly you will be alone. It's a process.
Yes.
And then you will jump into the emptiness because nobody really knows what is that you want. And then you will be fighting with all those people who cares about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it happened to me. I was practicing law. I decided to change, to go to Egypt. And people close to me, even if I explained what I was doing, they didn't understand. It was a time where they were not even sure if I was mentally healthy. So,
oh my God, isn't it incredible? Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Greg Field, that Monica Mancini's husband, he says to his students, follow your passion and doors will open. I had this same conversation with Jean Charles the other day, Bosse, and, Maria's coming on the show tomorrow, and Maria says the same thing. Everybody I know who I feel, this is just my opinion, people who are living their best lives, really love their lives. They don't consider their work as work. That work is not work, right? And I'm one of those persons too. Work has never been work to me.
Yes.
And Jean-Charles said the same thing. For you, it's not work either. People who follow their dream, they're living their best lives. But, years ago when I was making a change in career, like many decades ago, I've made many, and all been great. I remember reading that 96% of people didn't like what they did for a living.
Yes.
I mean, this is a huge number. And then, of course, it has all sorts of other repercussions in personal lives and whatever. So what I found was really exciting. All the people that I'm inviting on the show, which is many, 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 right? This is going to go on and on. They all have this is the commonality. They're all living their best lives. They all had a passion that they followed. And even the other night, I bid it on that to meet Lionel Richie, right?
Yes.
At the auction. And I didn't even hear them say you get to go some concerts or whatever. I wasn't interested. 6 or 9 months ago, I had this idea. And I thought, oh God, how could I reach out to Lionel Richie? He's coming to the festival. And, the song We Are the World, it has its 40th anniversary next year. And I wanted to ask him about doing a project with that. I don't want to disclose what it is here because I haven't finished talking to him. So I go backstage to meet him. And I went up and I said, Lionel, I can't go to the, thank you so much for putting this out there as an auction item. I said, but I can't go to your performances. I said, but I just wanted to come back and meet you because I have a question that everybody told me I was crazy about when I was doing research 6 or 9 months ago. He goes, what is it? So I told him, he says, I think that's a great idea. And he said, and guess what? They all told me I was crazy when I wrote the song and what we were going to do with it back then. So now we're connected. We're going to talk more and I hope something comes of it. But he was excited and he told his partner to give me their personal email and continue the conversation. So, I had no idea that opportunity was going to come up. I knew he was performing, but you can't just go backstage and ask a question, right? So the opportunity presented itself. It was his idea to throw this extra auction item. And I thought I could probably do a couple of trips overseas, but so what? I said, I'll take it. Because it's important. And I thought, isn't that interesting? I stopped thinking about that like 4 or 5 months ago because everybody said, Latife, are you crazy? You're not going to be able to pull this off. So then when I read your story, I'm like, this is a piece of cake next to that. So, it's really fun. So let me see if I have, I think we've talked about absolutely everything I wanted to ask you about. Is there anything you'd like to add about your story?
I think.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, you are a shining example of somebody following their passion and defying all the odds and living your best dream. I feel so honored to have you here, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time. We all can't wait to hear how this is all going to pan out, but obviously you've done extremely well, and you're going to find more, but you're going to be there forever, aren't you?
I feel very confident.
Oh, I feel very confident.
Since the beginning.
You do? Yeah.
Yes, that I am in the right place and I'm going to...
Doing the right things.
Yes, I think it's a matter of time.
Yes.
2 revolutions has passed in Egypt during this time. Many things has happened in the world in all these years that I'm working. But I always feel very safe in Egypt. And incredible, all the doors has been opened to me there, even though I didn't know anyone. Yeah. And at the moment I went to Egypt, there was no even an embassy, a Dominican embassy in Egypt open. So I went alone by myself without knowing anyone, but always feel that I was safe there. And my family was really scared in that trip.
I bet. So, you know, you were meant to do this. You came into this world to do this. I mean, we have to do a story on your past lives. We have to research that. I mean, honestly, it was meant to be, and your guardian angels have watched over you from day one, and even in fact from the time you first thought that you wanted to be an archaeologist. Doors have opened because they're meant to open. So, Godspeed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you visit.
I
one
would
day.
love to visit. How much time do you spend there each year?
Now only during excavation seasons, which could be the March, April, spring, or the autumn,
Nice.
September, October, November.
And the rest of the time you're doing research back home, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next time.